AP Statistics, I promised you a video to go over some of the questions that you missed in our Socrative review. Here it is. For question number 6, this one was tricky. You needed to know to do a chi-squared goodness of fit test in your calculator. This was not an easy problem. You had to know to put these values, these were your proportions. We actually needed to multiply these by the total value. So the sum here was 148. You had to take each of these values and multiply by 148 in order to get your expected value list. Once I had my expected values, I can put my two lists into my calculator. So you're going to put in your observed value list here and your expected value list here. Once you've done your chi-squared goodness of fit test, you're then going to either look at your component values, or if you've got the inspire, you're going to have to bring that up with your variable function. My component values I've written down here for rounded from my calculator, but we can see this third value is the largest. It contributes the most to the chi-squared, and since that's in the third place, our Hispanic people that are ethnicity was the one in the third spot, so it ended up being Hispanic. Wow, that is a meaty question. I understand why so many of you missed it. There were a lot of steps to get there, but that is something you need to know how to do, is how to pull up those components and what they mean. So when I add these four numbers together, the sum of those will give me my chi-squared. We can see that third one has the largest impact on that value. Question 13 was a throwback question back to chapter, oh gosh, what chapter would that be? I believe chapter 3, where we first learned about the correlation coefficient. So correlation, that is our R. On these printouts, they do give us R squared. So our R squared is going to equal, now we want to change that to a decimal, so 0.081, so very small. When I take the square root of that, so R is going to be the square root of 0.081, I will get 0.285. You need to remember to, all right, look at your slope here. And if your slope is negative, that means that your R will also be negative. So our final answer was negative 0.285. And that's how we got A as the answer. On question 14, they are asking you to find that t-test statistic. That's definitely something we've done most of the year. So for any test statistic, the formula is your statistic minus your parameter divided by either your standard deviation or, in this case, our standard error. So let's find those things on this table. Well, actually, we're not going to find our parameter on the table, but we can find it here in the null hypothesis. So our parameter will just be 0. So that's our expected, or what we think the actual slope is. We can find the statistic right here. Here's the slope that we think it is, this -4. Boy, that's a big number. And then our standard error is right here. So we're just going to put all of that into the equation. And astonishingly, when I do that, I did get D. Question 15 is the same scenario as the last problem, but now we're given a little more information. We're actually given the p-value is right here. We can see that means we're going to reject the null in favor of this. But what we're really showing is, what does that p-value mean? That's what they're asking you to interpret here. The correct answer is D. but we're interpreting that p-value. So remember that our test slope, the probability of this number happening by chance alone is only 0.0087. So what we're doing here is we're saying if the null hypothesis, if this is true, this means there's no relationship. So since our null, what we're saying is if this is true, if our null is actually 0, there's no relationship, then the probability of getting this answer here, this slope in a sample, is very small. So this can't be right. So if there is no linear relationship, okay, for the probability of getting that random sample that we got was really, really small. All right. Yeah, this one's just right out there. And I think the problem with these is just reading fatigue and putting it all together, because so just be really careful. If you really understand everything you're saying, it will be easier to read through these and figure out the correct one. And finally, question 16 is a confidence interval. So you can see we're going to use that confidence interval structure here. So let's just review what that is. So it's your point estimate plus or minus your t star times your standard error. Now remember, these two parts together are called your margin of error. Let's find those values from our table. So our point estimate, once again, is our slope. So right away, once we figure that out, we can eliminate A and B, because neither of those, they use the y-intercept instead of the slope. We've got our point estimate. We found that those match. We are next going to find our standard error, because our t star, we're going to need our table for. We're going to go find that in just a moment. So our standard error is this what is that? 1,698,371. That's huge. T star, you're going to look up on your table. You're going to have to figure out degrees of freedom here. So our degrees of freedom, our sample size was found right here. So 69 out of nearly 1,000 players. So our degrees of freedom, remember, is going to be -2, since this is two variables, x and y. So degrees of freedom is actually going to be 67. But on our table, we're going to look up, all right, we are going to look up 60 degrees of freedom. You always round that down. So from our table, our t star ends up equaling, if you look this one up, is 2.000. So, or just 2. So when I multiply 2 times that standard error, I do end up with E.